subject of our summer series is the Sermon on the Mount. And I felt the need to go ahead and read the parts that we will be studying from Matthew chapter 5. We'll be studying this summer from chapter 1 through chapter 30, verse 1 through verse 32. So, you'll oblige. We're going to read that right now. Chapter 5. I'm reading from the New King James Version. And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain. When he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing, but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp, put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For surely I say to you, till heaven and earth shall pass away, one lie or title will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one of these least of the commandments and teaches men so shall be least in the kingdom of heaven. For whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you, that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be in danger of the judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whoever says, You fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gifts to the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there against the altar, and go your way, first being reconciled to your brother, and then come to offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly, while you are on the way with him, lest your adversary deliver you to the judge. The judge hand you over to the officer, and let you be thrown into prison. Surely I say to you, you will by no means get out of there till you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it is said to those of old, You shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you, for it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish cast into hell. Furthermore, it has been said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife for any reason, except sexual immorality, causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery. That's the Sermon on the Mount through verse 32. And I just want to mention those who are going to be speaking for us. Next week, David Warren will be Steve Waller from Harvard Bridge, The Meet, Wayne Wallachek. June 29th, The Pursuit of Righteousness, Josh Casey. The Merciful on July 6th, Brian Hargett. July 13th, Pure in Heart, Mike Pace. July 20th, The Peacemakers, David Smith. The Persecuted, July 27th, Milton Sampson from Twiggs County. Norman Spann Jr. from Fort Valley on August 3rd will speak on the salt of the earth. Stacey Grant from Dublin, the light of the world on August 10th. August 17th, Jim Kerr, Jesus in the Old Testament. August 24th, the law against murder, Michael Chalmers, and the law on adultery and divorce, David Domain will close that out on August 31st. So we've got something really to look forward to here in the next few weeks. The thing that I guess I'm excited about is most of those speakers are guys right here. So that's something that we're really blessed with. I'm looking at that list and, I'm thinking of the phrase, we're going to save the best for last. I don't know what that says about the first one. But either way, it's all right. We've got a good subject tonight. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Now, the idea along with so many others in the Bible seems kind of far into the modern mind. How can poverty be any form or good? This is especially true when we understand that the word here, blessed, literally means happy. Happy, supremely blessed. How can we be poor and still be happy? Well, the poor in spirit, really, I think if you substitute the words poor in spirit for humble, we get a better understanding of what poor in spirit is. And if we're humble, we don't think too much of ourselves, don't break our arms or break our backs trying to pat ourselves on the back, and realize that when we do something, especially for the Lord, just be humble about it. Let's don't take the credit. It's not ours. It should get the credit. We are just the messengers. That is what poor in spirit is about. Now, I'm thinking about how do we present a 30-minute lesson on poor in spirit. And the best way that I know how is to just take a look at some of the characters in the Bible that were easily identified with poor in spirit. Of course, we can't go through all of them because there are so many. And if I forget some, which I will, maybe if we have time at the end, we'll throw some out there for somebody that I left out. We can throw some out and see how many that you come up with that I did. Some we'll spend a pretty good bit of time on, and others we'll just kind of look at for time reasons, kind of briefly. If you'll turn your Bibles to 1 Samuel 17, verse 33 through 57. I guess when you talk about people in the Bible, it's kind of like your kids. You're not really supposed to have a favorite, I guess. But I'm going here to admit, David was always one of my favorite Bible characters, not because it's my name. I think I was named after him. I'm pretty sure I was. But he went through so much in his life, and we're going to kind of take a look at some of the stuff that he went through. 1 Samuel 17, verse 33 through 57. This kind of gives us an introduction to David. And Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against the And Saul said to him, "You're not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him. You are a youth, and he a man of war from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant used to keep his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went after it and struck it, and delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard and struck and killed it. Your servant has killed both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them. See, he has defied the armies of the living God." Moreover, David said, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of the Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." So Saul clothed David with his armor. He put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor, tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, "I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them." So David took them off. So then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag, in a pouch which he had, and a sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was only a youth, ruddy and good-looking. So the Philistine said to David, "I am a dog that you come to me with sticks." And the Philistine cursed David by the gods. And the Philistine said to David, "Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." Then David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. I will strike you and take your head from you, and this day I will give the carcasses of the camp to the Philistines, to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth. And all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, but the battle of the Lord, and I will give you unto our hands." So it was, when the Philistine rose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone, and he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead. So the stone sank to his forehead, and he fell back on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of his sheath, and killed him, and cut his head off, and cut off his head with it. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Now the men of Israel and Judah arose and shouted and persuaded and pursued the Philistines as far as the entrance of the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell along the road to Shirem, even as far as Gath and Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from their chasing of the Philistines, and they plundered their tents. And David took the head of the Philistines and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put it on his armor in his tent. When Saul saw David going out against the Philistine, he said to Abner, the commander of the army, "Abner, whose son is this youth?" Abner says, "As your soul lives, O king, I do not know." So the king said, "Inquire whose son this young man is." And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine. And Saul said to him, "Whose son are you, young man?" So David answered, "I am the son of your servant, Jesse the Bethlehemite." So David had the strength of 10,000 men because he knew that God was going to be with him. Now, there there was a time, a little bit later on, that the human side came out of David, and he saw Bathsheba. In 2 Samuel 11, verses 2, he says, "Then it happened one evening that David arose from his bed and walked on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful, so to behold. So David sent and inquired about the woman, and someone said, 'Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?' Then David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her, for she was cleansed from her impurity. And she returned to her house, and the woman conceived. So she sent and told David, and said, 'I am with child.' And David sent Joab, saying, 'Send me Uriah the Hittite.' And Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah had come to him, David asked Joab how Joab was doing, and how the people were doing, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, 'Go down to your house and wash your feet.' So Uriah departed from the king's house, and the gift of food from the king followed him. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of the Lord, and did not go to the house. So when they told David, saying, 'Uriah did not go to the house,' David said to Uriah, 'Did you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house?' And Uriah said to David, 'The ark and Israel and Judah are dwelling in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go to my house to eat and drink, and to lie with my wife as you live, and as your soul lives? I will not do this thing.' David said to Uriah, 'Wait here today, and tomorrow I will let you depart.'" And basically, going down, we realize that David had sent Uriah to the forefront of the battle, and he didn't survive it. Of course, David, he continued to be with Bathsheba. So that was the part of David that he kind of went away from the Lord. But things are good, because David, who was the man after God's own heart, repented later. By reading Psalms 13, we read of his plea for forgiveness. On Psalms 13, he really says some beautiful prayers in Psalms 13 of sadness and total forgiveness, or asking for total forgiveness. 13, he thought the Lord had abandoned him. In Psalms 13, he said, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long will my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord, my God, enlighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest my enemies say, I have prevailed against him. Let those who trouble me rejoice when I am moved, but I have trusted in your mercy. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, because he has dealt bountifully with me." And then in Psalms 51, he had a plea of forgiveness, saying, "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to your loving kindness, according to the multitude of your tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sins. For I acknowledge my transgressions, for my sin is always before me. Against you, you only have I sinned, and done this evil in your sight, that you may be found just when you speak and blameless when you judge. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. Behold, your desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you will make me to know wisdom. Purge me with the hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Hear my joy and gladness, that the bones you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and blot out my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, and do not take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Uphold me by your generation spirit. Then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted to you. Deliver me from the guilt of bloodshed, O God, the God of my salvation. And my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it. You do not delight in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Do good in your good pleasure to Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem, and you shall be pleased with the sacrifices of your righteousness. With burnt offering and whole burnt offering, they shall offer bulls in your altar. A man who saw his wrong ways and a plead for God to forgive him. And as we all know, he was a man after God's own heart. And he was forgiven. And the same thing can happen with us. If we know that there's sin in our lives, we can be forgiven. And that's part of being poor in spirit. Humble yourselves. And don't be afraid to admit, I'm a sinner. We all sin. We all sin. We do it daily. But we have that opportunity of forgiveness. Another example of someone who was really poor in spirit was Job. Of course, Job had his family taken away. He had all of these plagues put on him. And he still was an humble man. And even in verse 9 in chapter 2, his own wife, who's supposed to be his trusted companion, says, do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die. But of course, he wasn't going to do that. He was not going to curse God and die. And verse 31, he shows his resistance. On chapter 31, he shows his resistance. And he said, I made a covenant with my eyes. When then I should look upon a young woman, for what is the allotment of God from above, and the inheritance of Almighty from on high? It is not destruction for the wicked, and disaster for the workers of iniquity. Does he not see my ways? Does he count all my steps? If I have walked falsehood, or my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed on honest scales, that God may know my integrity. If my step is turned from the way, or my heart walked after my eyes, or if any spot adheres to my hand, then let me sow and another eat. Yes, let my harvest be rooted out. If my heart has been enticed by another woman, or if I've lurked at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind for another, and let others bow down over her. For that would be wickedness. Yes, that would be wickedness. Yes, that would be iniquity, deserving of the judgment. For that would be a fire that consumes to the destruction, and would root out all of my increase. If I have despised the calls of my male or female servant when they complained against me, what then shall I do when God rises up? When he punishes, how shall I answer to him? Did he not who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one fashion us in the womb? And he goes on for several verses, basically showing his humbleness and his poorness in spirit. And Job ended up in verse 42, answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do anything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. You ask, who is this who hides counsel understand things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Listen, please, and let me speak. You said, I will question you, and you shall answer me. I've heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore, I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. Job was a very repentant man. He was a man that was poor in spirit. Another person who was poor in spirit was Peter. Peter showed himself to be impetuous to the point of rashness. For example, he was the one who left the boat to walk out towards Jesus in Matthew 14, 28 to 29. Probably took his eyes off of Jesus. And when he did that, he began to sing, verse 30. But he had to ask for God's hand, for Jesus' hand. And Jesus even told him at that time, oh, you little faith. So we all have those points where we have little faith, but of course, we all know Peter, some of the great things he did. Of course, there were some things that he did also that probably the most famous thing that we all know about Peter was in Matthew 26. Matthew 26, verse 33, when he was told by Jesus, he said, Peter answered them, even if all are made to stumble because of you, I will never be made to stumble. And Jesus said to him, assuredly, I say to you that this night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And there was no way that he thought that was ever going to happen. But as sure enough, it did happen. In verse 70, verses through 74, he denied him. He denied it before them all, saying, he denied knowing Jesus, saying, I do not know what you were saying. When he had gone out to the gateway, another girl saw him and said to those who were there, this fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth. But again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And a little later, those who stood by came up and said to Peter, assuredly, you also are one of them. With this, for your speech betrays you. Then he began to curse and swear, saying, I do not know the man. And immediately the rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the words of Jesus and said to him, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And so he went out and wept bitterly. Of course, we all know some of the great things that Peter did. Of course, he was the main speaker on the day of Pentecost. He was the one that the Lord reaffirmed him as Peter the rock in Matthew 16, verse 18, and promised that he'd be instrumental in establishing the church. After his resurrection, Jesus specifically named Peter on the day of Pentecost, as we said earlier, to be the main speaker. And of course, in Acts chapter 2, verse 41, after he was finished speaking, about 3,000 souls were added to the church. Then, of course, one of the greatest stories of humbleness and poor in spirit was Saul of Tarsus. Saul was a persecutor. He was a persecutor of Christians. And then on the road to Damascus, he was struck by light and was blinded. And Jesus said, Acts chapter 9, verse 4, as he fell to the ground, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, who are you, Lord? See, that's interesting to me that he immediately knew who was calling after him. He knew that it was the Lord. And the Lord said, I am Jesus whom you persecuted. It is hard for you to kick against the goads. So he trembled and astonished and said, Lord, what do you want me to do? He acknowledged the Lord right there, and some folks would like for you to believe that that's all you need to do. But Jesus said, arise and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. And of course, when he got to the city, there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. Skipping on down to verse 10. He said to the Lord in a vision, Ananias, here I am, Lord. So the Lord said to him, arise and go to the street called Straight and inquire at the house of Judah for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he is praying, and in a vision he has seen a man named Ananias coming in, putting his hand on him, so that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard from many about this man. How much harm has he done to your saints in Jerusalem? And here he has the authority from the chief priest to bind all who call on your name. But the Lord said to him, go, for he is a chosen vessel of mine to bear my name before Gentiles, kings, and the children of Israel. For I will show him how many things he must suffer. And of course, Ananias laid his hands on him. And verse 18, immediately there fell upon his eyes something like scales, and he received his sight, and at once he arose and was baptized. So as we said earlier, it wasn't just belief, because he had already believed when that ray of light hit him. He knew who that was. And he was a man that was poor in spirit. We all know what Paul did throughout the New Testament, one of the best proclaimers of God's Word. You know, I'm not going to forget the women of the Scriptures. There were several women who were people who were poor in spirit. Ruth, we probably have to read the entire 4 chapters for all of the things, to figure out what all the things she did. Of course, she was, through her family line, King David and ultimately Jesus, the Messiah. In Matthew 4 through 17 and 21 through 22, also Matthew 1 through 6, we realize that. Mary of Nazareth, who was ridiculed for taking on the task that was given to her by God, she was, of course, the one who raised Jesus. Elizabeth was a righteous man who gave birth to John the Baptist, who Jesus called the greatest of all men. Of course, there was Mary Magdalene, who was a devoted follower of Jesus. Martha of Bethany, she was a faithful disciple. And she gave a great confession of faith at the tomb of Lazarus in John chapter 11, verse 21 through 27. She complained about the lack of Mary's help as she worked to prepare for dinner. In Luke 10, 38 through 42, and she served dinner at Bethany, where her sister Mary anointed Jesus with oil. But of course, the main person who was poor in spirit was the man who gave this Sermon on the Mount, and that was Jesus. Of course, he gave us too many to list, but some of the things, Isaiah chapter 53, verse 7 through 12, says, he was opposed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, as sheep before its shearers is silent. So he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who will declare his generation? For he his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the labor of his soul. Be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong. Isaiah prophesied about Jesus. Jesus, when he was here on this earth, did many things, humbled himself, as he washed the disciples' feet in John 13. And in verse 16, NIV version says that no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one that sent him. In Matthew 23, verse 12, he says, those who exalt themselves will be humble, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And a few chapters back, in chapter 20, verse 28, he says, I came to serve and not be served. And of course, all the prayers of humbleness to his Father. This one stands out to me, Matthew chapter 26. And this will be the last of the lengthy readings. Matthew chapter 26, verse 36 through 54. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit here while I go pray over there. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. And he said to them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. He went a little farther and fell on his face. Let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Then came he to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, what? Could you not watch me for 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again, a second time he went away and prayed, O Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done. And he came and found himself sleeping again, for their eyes were heavy, so he left them and went away again, prayed the third time, as we had mentioned earlier tonight, let this cup pass from me. Are you still sleeping and resting? He said to the disciples, behold, the hour is at hand. The Son of Man is betrayed to the hands of sinners. Rise and let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. And of course, skipping down to 52, put your sword in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Or do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will provide me with more than 12 legions of angels? How then could the scripture be fulfilled, that it must happen thus? In the hour, Jesus said to the multitudes, have you come out against me a robber with swords and clubs to take from me? And daily I sat with you teaching in the temple, and you did not seize me. But all of this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. The scriptures, of course, he's talking about what we read in Isaiah. Poor in spirit, I guess another way of saying basically humble. Of course, I can't, me being a song leader, I'm not going to go throughout mentioning the song in our hymn books, 867. You don't have to turn there because it's very simple. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord. He will lift you up. That's all you need to know. Blessed